Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from The Federalist dated November 28th. And I know some of these articles are going to be a little old at this point. I just got back from vacation, so I'm kind of catching up on things. So let's go ahead and get into this. And I know there's been numerous videos and articles posted about this situation. And again, this happened when I was on vacation, but I just wanted to go over it anyway because it still pisses me off thinking about it. So again, it's from the Federalist, dated November 28th. It is entitled "Young Chiefs Fan Should Sue Deadspin into Oblivion for Inventing Blackface Hoax About Him." So at the point that I'm recording this, it's been, as you could tell, almost a couple of weeks since this even happened. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be a recap in here. But there was basically a Deadspin writer trying to defame a child for wearing war paint, the giant Kansas City Chiefs colors to their game with a Native American headdress. And oh, by the way, the kid is actually Native American. And I think just from the time I'm recording this, it's actually December 9th, Saturday. I think yesterday or the day before, Deadspin put out like a very crap apology, and I use apology with scare quotes around it, because they were being threatened with being sued. But I still think the family should go ahead and sue them because what that author did, and sue the author too, is just that is defamation. But let's go ahead and get into this anyway and see what it says and see what we can add to it given the events of the last few weeks. It says the family of the young Chiefs fan at the center of Deadspin's apparently defamatory blackface smear should sue the outlet to oblivion. And yeah, like I said, I think that should absolutely happen. When stuff like this happens, if you've got the means to do it, sue the crap out of these places because they don't deserve to call themselves journalists when they're just looking to they're grievance merchants. They're looking for something to be pissed about, so they're going to take something that isn't the thing they're pissed about and turn it into the thing that they're pissed about. So, like, this particular author. So let's get into it. It says, just when you think legacy media can't be any more despicable, they find a way to prove you wrong. It reminds me of that. If you know who Oron McIntyre is, go look up his Twitter account. He has a common phrase that he always has, like the pointing to the sign sort of thing, where it's like, you think you hate journalists, you think you hate journalists enough, but you don't, or something to that effect. So yeah, that's what that reminds me of. So it says on Monday, the sports blog known as Deadspin, which is owned by GO Media, published a hit piece in which senior writer Karen J. Phillips, that's an appropriate name for this particular writer, Karen, falsely accused a young Kansas City Chiefs fan of donning blackface during the team's Sunday game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Upon clicking on Phillips' article, readers agreed with the headline, quote, "The NFL needs to speak out against the Kansas City Chiefs fan in blackface and native headdress," end quote, accompanied by a picture of a young fan wearing a Chiefs jersey and American Indian headdress with half his face painted black. It takes a lot to disrespect two groups of people at once, but on Sunday afternoon in Las Vegas, a Kansas City Chiefs fan found a way to hate black people and Native Americans at the same time, Phillips fumed. And by the way, the kid was 9. Okay, so this is a child he's talking about. Says anyone who solely read Phillips' article and nothing else about the so-called controversy would likely take their senior writer's reporting as true, and reporting again in the loosest possible terms, that a young fan showed up to Sunday's game in blackface with the intent to mock black and Native Americans. As per usual with America's irreparably broken media, however, Phillips' accusations are total bunk. Says different camera angles reveal that the other half of the Chiefs fan's face, the side Phillips chose to admit, is painted red. In other words, his face was painted in Chiefs colors. So here's an embedded tweet from Colin Rugg that shows us. The picture on the left here, I'm not going to go into the actual tweet itself, but the picture on the left here is what the Deadspin article showed. And then this is what the kid actually looked like on the right. Okay, so black and red, also known as, let's just scroll back up to Chiefs colors. I know white's in there too, but black and red. Okay. So to anyone with a lick of common sense, it's clear that a fan painting his face and dressing out in mascot garb at a sporting event is there to show support for his favorite team. Correct. But for race-obsessed leftists like Phillips, division must be created where there is none. And yeah, the demand of racism far outweighs the supply of it as well. Says even after it was obvious to the public that the aforementioned fan wasn't doing blackface, Phillips doubled down on his lie, writing on X, "For the idiots in my mentions who are treating this as some harmless act because the other side of his face is painted red, we can make the argument that it makes it even worse. It's because you're an idiot, okay? And you're a leftist, so of course you're an idiot." Says y'all are the ones who hate Mexicans but wear sombreros on Cinco, he added. Okay, that's not really an argument, but No. And speaking of this, after this came out, I saw someone I follow on X, it's Julio Rosas, who's actually a good reporter, said, "I give everyone all like something like I give all white people permission to wear sombreros whenever you want to, or something like that." It was pretty funny. Says, but for the Chiefs fan, but the young Chiefs fan wasn't the only target of Phillips' unhinged rant. Throughout his hit piece, the Deadspin writer lambasted the NFL for allowing this non-incident to happen, claiming that if the league had outlawed the chop at Chiefs games and been more aggressive in changing the team's name, then we wouldn't be here. See, like these guys are the kind of folks that want every team to just be called like the human beings, and it reminds me of the TV show Community, and I think I said this in other videos too. That if I remember correctly, I haven't watched the series in a long time, but everyone they were trying to come up with a mascot at their community college for or trying to come up with a nickname, and everybody was disagreeing on things, so they just settled with like human beings, and it was like a blank slate. It was like an NPC sort of thing because it was like, yeah, we don't know. And I think that's what guys like this Karen Phillips want, is just everything to be just anodyne and, just neutral. There's not like any actual fun with anything. So, predictably for the unhappy, devoted leftist, the Washington franchise ditching its Redskins mascot and the NFL's capitulation to Black Lives Matter and the Silence is Violence crowd following George Floyd's death wasn't good enough for Phillips. The senior writer used his Monday diatribe to further push critical race stereotype thinking by insinuating that the league's leadership are oppressors. Yep, here we go. And blasting them for expecting non-white oppressed individuals, including players, to help root out so-called oppression in institutions such as the NFL, the majority black NFL. So it's because, as we all know, anyone who gets paid millions of dollars to play football is oppressed. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Yes, those guys are so oppressed. You're the top 1% of earners in this country, and you're oppressed. Sure, yeah. Says Deadspin deserves the Sandman treatment. So we're going to get into another thing that happened in the last few years. Well, when TDS became a severe issue. So it says there are only two possible explanations for Phillips' apparently defamatory story. The first is that he only saw the photo of the fan from one angle and disregarded basic journalistic fact checking because he's eager to push his racism is everywhere agenda. The second and more likely reason, given his willingness to double down on a phony story, is that Phillips knew the fan's face was painted with multiple colors and went out of his way to falsely accuse the fan of hatefully mocking Black and Native Americans anyway. Whatever the definitive reason, neither option reflects well on Deadspin or Phillips. Unfortunately, the Chiefs' blackface host has become the norm for corporate media outlets. Man, I cannot talk today. Like Deadspin, which has a history of using sports as a vehicle to engage in left-wing activism. Yeah, because that's what everybody wants when they want their sports is left-wing activism. Says recall several years ago when a self-professed news organizations went out of their way to smear Nick Sandman, who was a Covington Catholic high school student attending a pro-life rally in Washington, D.C. Rather than practicing actual journalism, America's drive-by media immediately rushed to use a short clip of Sandman, who was wearing a MAGA hat, smiling at a Native American demonstrator who basically accused the student of racial harassment. By the time the full video emerged showing that it was Sandman and his classmates who were being harassed by the Native American demonstrator and members of the Black Hebrew Israelites, which is a black supremacist, highly racist group, if you don't know who they are, as the damage had already been done. Salmon's name had already been dragged through the mud, his life and future career prospects tarnished by the media's lies. And with Deadspin's latest smear hoax, history is repeating itself. The family of the young Kansas City Chiefs fan at the center of Phillips' smear should follow Salmon's lead and sue entities like Deadspin and Phillips into oblivion for furthering these incredulous lies. Yes, at some point, something like this has to happen, and I mean, to whether it's the author and or the actual publisher of the article, to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen again. Like somebody's got to learn their lesson at some point, and and get the idea that hey, there's if we pick on the wrong person, because you don't know who you're picking on when you do that. One time you're gonna pick the wrong person, they're gonna sue your ass into oblivion, and that those journalists, and I use again that term very loosely out there, we're gonna go, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't write an article like that again. Maybe that's a bad idea. But anyway, to finish this off, it says passivity is not going to cut it with a rabid leftist press that is intent on rewriting truth and destroying unifying aspects of American culture. Deadspin must be held to account for this latest sham, and if that means taking them to court for every penny they're worth, then so be it. Yep, totally agree with that. And like the headline of the article says, you should sue them into oblivion for inventing a hoax. And even though the family, like I said at the very beginning, the family has threatened a lawsuit over these last few days, but they should absolutely go through with it. Even if the place put out a faux apology, they should still go through with it because it happened. it's a thing. It's not like, saying you're sorry means the thing didn't happen. Again, I know Deadspin again is trying to get out in front of it to be like, no, 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 we're sorry, or if even if they are, which I really doubt they are. But yeah, just family, whoever you guys are, sue the shit out of them, please. Make them, make them learn a lesson, never to do this again. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you think the family should sue the writer and or Deadspin into oblivion for this? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.